Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to go over configuring the MXS Strada for my GT86. Everything I'm doing though would apply to really any car though. So this is the main screen, so these are my current Aim devices. I have my Solo, SmartyCam, and the Strada. If you were going to start from scratch, you would go to New Configuration and then pick the device from here. If you don't see it here, you might have to download the software. You can see I have it downloaded. Back to the configuration, so that's the gear icon here in the corner. I already have it configured, so I'm just going to go over what I set up. Okay, so for the first tab, channels. So these are basically all the available channels from the logger itself. To enable the top 8 analog channels, you do need to add the 23-pin harness. So I only have the 14-pin harness. So basically only using the ones at the bottom. RPM and speed I'll be getting from the ECU, so from the CAN bus. There's no fuel in my car, so so these are the only ones I'm really using. There also isn't a GPS built into the Strada. I bought an additional GPS09, so when it sees any AIM GPS like an 08 or an 09, it will actually just automatically pick those. The GPS speed will be coming from the GPS09, even though it doesn't say that. The next tab is going to be your ECU. So this is the ECU for the Scion for the GT86. If you go to change, you can obviously pick whatever you have. I obviously have everything enabled, as you can see. So again, you're getting the RPM from the ECU, steering angle, throttle, brake pressure, which is very helpful, so on and so forth. ECT, if you were wondering, is the coolant temp, water temp, speed sensors. So yeah, moving on. Can2, you can add in, I guess, an additional CAN stream. I don't have that. CAN expansion, I am using that. That's how I pull the oil pressure. So this is the, if you wanted to add a new one, you would go to new expansion, and these are the CAN expansions that you can add. You have your keypads. This is the GPS09 Pro, which is different than the one I have. The Pro gives you also a gyro, which I don't have in mine. But yeah, you would go to channel expansion, which is what I have. And then from there, you could set what you want your 4 channels to be. So I have mine as oil pressure. I did go over this in a little bit more detail in a video basically going over adding the channel expansion to the Solo. Math channels I didn't really mess with, but it's just your basic AIM math channels. So I'm assuming, I don't know if you can add custom math channels. This might be the only ones you have access to, but okay, moving on. So this is the status variables tab. So what a status variable is essentially a variable that you can use in other locations in the configuration, such as your alarms. So, you know, I'll show you how they access, but basically these are the ones I have set up. So example for oil pressure warn, it's all contextual, so you can add in different things. So we can, if we wanted to add, let's say, you know, whatever, wheel speed, for example, you know, is greater than 15 miles an hour. So, you know, in this example here, you know, your RPM would have to be greater than 3100, your oil pressure less than 25, and then your wheel speed greater than 31. For that variable to go from false to true. So you can see else it's false. Which is nice about that is being that it's contextual, you can obviously make some pretty powerful logic instead of it just, because if you just said, oh, let me know when it's below 25, it would be going off all the time when you're sitting at a stoplight, for example. So I have for warn, and then I also have one for crit if it's below 20. I kind of base those numbers based off of my logging that I've done in the past of my GPS. but obviously easy enough to change it and just re-upload it trackside. Then coolant temp, so on and so forth. And then moving on to the parameters tab, I didn't change anything here. For lap detection, you can see I have it on GPSs. I do have that GPS09. Okay, moving on to shift lights and alarms. So for the shift lights and alarms, at the top we have the use gear shift lights or predictive timing. So I do have it on gear shift lights, so this will essentially just act as a shift lights. These are the way I have the shift lights configured. You can change them however you want. These are the ones I chose. Obviously all of this is changeable and only take you a few minutes to change it, even if you're at the track, as long as you have your laptop with you. If you do predictive lap time, essentially what that would do is be your delta time. So by default, it's every 10th. So if you're 10th up, you get a green light. If you're 10th down, you get a red light. I'm probably, well, if I end up keeping my solo, I will use the solo to probably display my delta times, and also the solo has lights on the side, so for the delta time. So I'd get both if I end up keeping the solo. For the alarms, so these alarms are, all of them are basically for the status variables I showed here. So I have one for oil pressure, crit, and warn, and then also for temp as well. So if we just kind of look at, for example, oil pressure, crit, if these two are true, you'll get a fast blinking red LED for LED 1. It'll be red. You can change the color. It'll also tell you low oil pressure, and it will show up as the whole background be red, and then say low oil pressure in white, and it will last for 5 seconds. Another one I did, which was kind of interesting, was just kind of looking for if the car is cold. So depending on the temperature, these will trigger. So by default, they're true, and as the car warms up, it will go from true to false. So until the car warms up, it will say on the info line here, car is cold. And the ABS one's not actually looking for an ABS trigger. It's just kind of looking for high brake pressure. I think I have it set for 1,000. The thinking there was, like, specifically, I noticed in turn 1 of Mondello, when I really started to drop my lap times, I was actually braking much harder into turn 1. I was seeing almost like 1,300 brake pressure, whereas like previously I was maybe only around like 900, let's say. So my thinking there was that if I was actually utilizing all of the brake into turn 1, I would maybe have the lights kind of flash magenta, like this, which is kind of similar to what you'd see on like the GT3 cars. If you ever played a game like iRacing with the realistic dashes, you know, you'll get those cars will have lights pop up when they engage in ABS or traction control. So that was kind of my thinking there. We'll see how it works in practice, but yeah. And then moving on to commands. This is an interesting one. So it adds these by default. They're all read-only, but if you add a new command, what you can do is, like, if you had a CAN bus page, a CAN bus keypad, you can configure a CAN bus page to say, select the next dash page, reset an alarm, so on and so forth. I really don't have much use for the commands, so I won't be using them here. Icon manager, so I set up a few icons. So one's for that ABS that we just spoke about. So again, that's looking for if the status variable ABS is true. This light will go from basically white or gray to orange. For coolant and oil temp, basically goes gray. Instead of blue, it's purple, just kind of matches the theme of the channel. And then it goes kind of an orange, and then red if you're overheating. Yeah, ideally, the state you'd want to see is just gray. So kind of indicating that it's not on. But yeah, you can change these by clicking on the image. Pick whatever icon you want. If you want something colored, you can go to coloring and then you pick it. And then when you hit OK, you'll get a color picker. And custom, you can add your own images and what have you. So, yeah. And then for display, I'll probably do this tab last. So let's move on to SmartyCam. So I do have a SmartyCam. So if you don't have a SmartyCam, this obviously doesn't apply. But what I'm using my SmartyCam as is basically kind of a logger. So I have the Strada. So the Strada does not have built-in memory like the normal MXS does. So when I have my camera hooked up, everything gets streamed to the SD card in the SmartyCam. So I'm sending over, as you can see, RPM, GPS speed, which comes from GPS09, year, so on and so forth. You can see here. So it does kind of act like a pseudo logger. So like, if I come in off the track, I basically pop out the SD card, pop it into my laptop, and then I'll have my video with the overlay already done, and then I'll also be able to actually view the data in your in your more traditional sense with the squiggly lines. So yeah, got everything I need from there. Going back to the dash page, I set up a few pages here. I probably won't go over all of them, but basically I have like 3 street dashes and then 2 track dashes, and then just kind of like an informational page if I ever wanted to see what was going on. So yeah, so you can see here the colors. This is all custom colors. It's all kind of made to look like the Spare Room Racing colors of the channel. So green and purple. Code is your gear. So this is your gear in the corner. You have your RPM, obviously, and you could change that. If I wanted 20,000. So yeah, so you could change that that way. The kilometers, if you're curious about that, that actually comes from the channel setting at the beginning. So so you can't actually change it here, but you can change it in the channels tab. But yeah, pretty simple to set up. Like if I was gonna do a new dash, for example, it's actually just drag and drop. So you can see it automatically populates certain things, but if you didn't want GPS speed to be there, you can like do something like this. Now it goes away. If you wanted it to be maybe wheel speed instead, you can do that. Instead of RPM, you want coolant temp there, so on and so forth. So yeah, pretty simple, just drag and drop. Very easy to set up. They're all a little different. I've kind of learned you can't do the same thing with all of them, unfortunately. So like if we look at one of my race dash pages here, like this has a text line where it said good luck, have fun. You can't have a text line on another, only on the dash pages that actually have text on them. This has these have these bars at the bottom to represent where you are temperature wise, whereas like this one is just a number. But yeah, going back to this one, my favorite part about it is it has this delta reference, which is why I'm going to basically use it when I'm on track. So as you can see, these have the lap number, the lap time, my best lap, predictive lap, and then also, like I said, a reference. So that's pretty cool. But like unfortunately, you can't add this element, if you will, to a different dash. So all the dashes are a little unique. So yeah, if you want to add like an icon from that, simple enough. So yeah, I have the icons here. So some of them are a little nicer looking than others. Some of them a little busy. Yeah, this one, like I said, has basically everything on it. Well, everything that's important to me, basically. So if I'm driving and I want to kind of get an idea of what steering angle is or something like that, make sure everything is working correctly, I can kind of open this dashboard. Like most of what I did will apply to probably any of the dashes in their range, and any car really. So, but yeah, that's how I configured my dash. So yeah, I'll end this video here off with a quick little demo of the alerts, and yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.